Got a solution to a big problem? One that will help build a better world? We want to hear it. Share your solution here with the new economy.
Have the president say, we're going to hold off on that 10%, but we're keeping the other tariffs and we're going to keep on negotiating. We don't know how long this is going to go, but if you get back...
Yeah, but we haven't heard that yet.
You haven't heard that yet.
Yeah.
That sounds reasonable to me.
Look, it's clear that the administration has stepped over a red line and that the economy is biting back, right? So the economy was strong enough and resilient enough to take all the headlines and all the actions and the tariffs up till this point. And when you only have Peter Navarro saying this is a great idea, I think it's a signal. And the bond market is telling the administration and the equity market saying you've now gone too far.
Certainly the markets are speaking. There's no question. And that doesn't even go to the adjustment of the dot plot with our central bank when we see it. Another question for the weekend. I got lucky. I have some duration. I have a coupon price up. I had a lovely note from Gary Schilling, who's the call of a generation, on low. What do you do when you get a double-digit gain in fixed income? Do you just go to cash and check it? What do you actually physically do at BNY Mellon when you got double-digit pop?
We had this great conversation yesterday about what do you do with fixed income right now. Tactically, it's reasonable to assume you hit the 2016 lows on yields, right? So you probably get another rally here out of that. Having said that, you've made your money this year, and I suspect that that the trade is going to be in the opposite direction. And I would, I could see going into investment grade credit here from sovereign debt.
For all of you worldwide in coast to coast, we're having a West Coast, East Coast New York weekend. We're going far west to New Jersey. We're going to do the golf tournament, the Northern Trust tournament in a bit. And then we go far east. Alicia, I believe you will try to get to the Hamptons this weekend amidst two presidential fundraisers as well. How do you turn left in the Hamptons this weekend?
You go late.
You go late, what, 2 a.m.?
You work all day Friday, and you go late, because nobody goes late on Friday. You work all day.
Yeah, you go late on. Then what do you do Sunday night? I can't come home because I got to, I got to take. Well, if I have the Sikorsky, I can do it.
Surveillance helicopter.
Farrell has it right now, but if I have the helicopter, I'm okay. What do you do on Friday, a Sunday, coming home after a presidential weekend in the Hamptons?
You never take 27, and you take only side roads.
There it is. The information you need. Your traffic report. Alicia Levine of BNY Mellon this weekend on the side roads of the Hamptons.
That's a good strategy.
I got so lost. Once.
You have to go to SAG.
And the fog was in, like Mystic, Connecticut. The side, I was like hours, Paul, lost. The side roads, as they called them.
Just stay home, Tom. It's staycation.
We're doing a stay. I mean, come on, a president, 2 fundraisers, not 1, 2.
Right? Election season coming up. Need to stock up.
We will see. Futures are negative 18, down futures negative 131. The VIX 18.24. What matters to the screen? Those of you into Heathrow this weekend, take an extra suitcase for Harrods, 120.64.
Let's get national headlines right now with Michael Barr. Michael.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you, Tom. SoulCycle and Equinox exercise chains remain under a threat of boycotts. It's because of plans by billionaire Stephen Ross to host a fundraiser, as we've been talking about, for President Trump in the Hamptons today. SoulCycle and Equinox have sought to distance themselves from Ross, who is part owner of the companies. There are new signs of political movement on gun rights. President Trump has said he wants to do something big on background checks in the wake of last weekend's mass shootings. And now Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is signaling he's open to legislative action. McConnell says, though, he doesn't plan to call the Senate back to Washington early from their month-long recess.
If we did that, we'd just have people scoring points and nothing would happen. There has to be a bipartisan discussion here of what we can agree on.
The Deputy Director of National Intelligence, Sue Gordon, announced that she is resigning along with Director Dan Coates next week. President Trump has named National Counterterrorism Center Director Joseph McGuire to become the DNI's new acting director. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok, on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg, Tom.
Michael, thanks so much. Time now for the Bloomberg NBC Sports Report. Here's John Stashauer.
Tom, Yankee surprises on display last night in Toronto. Domingo Germán, another win. He went into the season with a 2-7 career record. He's 15-2. Mike Tauchman, another home run. Came to the Yanks from Colorado, where he spent parts of 2 seasons batting 153 without a single homer. And then there is Gio Urshela.
Pitch is hit in the air to deep left. That ball is high. It is far. It is gone. Another home run for Gio Urshela. Gio Urshela, the most happy fella. No, he's the most happy fella. What he's doing is absolutely amazing.
That's John Sterling, WFAN. 2 home runs for the second straight night. Urshela had been a big player in Cleveland and Toronto. Yanks won their 9th in a row, 12-6. Tauchman and Urshela had combined to drive in almost 100 runs. Mets have won 13 of 14. They'll have Marcus Stroman on the mound tonight, Citi Field against Washington. Yankees announced yesterday they will play the White Sox next August in Iowa at the 8,000-seat Field of Dreams site. At MetLife, the annual Jet Giant preseason game, a couple weeks earlier than usual, the Giants won 31-22. The story was their rookie quarterback, Daniel Jones, came in early for Eli Manning. In his one drive, Jones went 5 for 5, 67 yards, and a touchdown. The question now is not if, but when does Coach Pat Shermer have Jones supplant Manning as the starting quarterback. Second round, Northern Trust Golf today, Jersey City. Troy Merritt off of 62 leads Dustin Johnson by 1. Tiger Woods yesterday went off early, played half his round before they let the fans in. Tiger has struggled since the Masters. He shot 75. With the Bloomberg NBC Sports Update, I'm John Stashauer. Tom?
John, thanks so much. That's like torture. I mean, John Sterling is so good. I mean,
unless you're a Red Sox fan. And then
last night, there was I just said I've written off the Red Sox since Chris Sale comes in last night. 13 strikeouts, 2-hitter. It's like pennant fever. Fenway Park. My head's spinning. Futures -18. This is Bloomberg. Coming up on a disjoint Washington, D.C., we speak with Timothy O'Brien of Bloomberg Opinion. The path forward. No, not 2020. The path forward to the Sunday talk shows. This is Bloomberg.
The business of sports.
Hi, I'm Scott Soshman.
And I'm Michael Barr. He's an investor, entrepreneur, and philanthropist who bought the City Tennis Tournament in Washington, D.C.
We'll speak with private equity shaker Mark Ein.
That's tonight at 8 on Bloomberg 1130 and via podcast on iTunes.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
The following is a public service from Bloomberg.
The Brooklyn Academy of Music presents first-run films at BAM's Rose Cinemas. This weekend, BAM presents Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, and Al Pacino. Quentin Tarantino's 9th film is set in 1969 Los Angeles, a time when everything is changing. TV star Rick Dalton and his longtime stunt double Cliff Booth make their way around an industry they hardly recognize anymore. Featuring a large ensemble cast and multiple intertwining storylines, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood pays tribute to the final moments of Hollywood's golden age. Also playing this weekend, The Farewell, Lulu Wang's wonderfully warm, bittersweet look at the intricacies of family dynamics, features a breakout performance from Awkwafina as a writer living in New York who travels back to her hometown in China for a wedding celebration. For showtimes and a complete listing of programs at the Brooklyn Academy of Music, go to BAM.org. This has been a BAM Minute.
Garden State Dining presents New Jersey's finer restaurants.
Enjoy casual fine dining at Rustica Restaurant in Cliffside Park. There's a new chef, a new Italian-American menu, and classic service in the most elegant, art-filled dining room. Rustica Restaurant and Lounge, a Gold Coast favorite on Gorge Road in Cliffside Park.
Dining al fresco at the Pico Tavern is like being at a summer resort. Enjoy exotic drinks on one of their 4 patios, $1 oysters on Wednesdays, and Thursday is lobster night. The best Sunday brunch is at Mike Monaco's Pico Tavern, old school Italian cuisine located in Hackensack.
When you think of the Meadowlands and great food, one name comes to mind: Segovia. Segovia Restaurant, Segovia Steakhouse, and now the new Segovia Maison. Segovia, one name and now 3 great restaurants in the heart of the Meadowlands.
Imagine an Italian restaurant so good that New Yorkers travel to New Jersey for. That's Grissini in Englewood Cliffs. Grissini, where you can enjoy Chef Alberto's homemade pastas and amazing new creations. The Zagat-rated Grissini, high-end Italian dining in Englewood Cliffs.
Forever Wild, the Chapin Estate.
Eagles soar over hardwoods. Trout jump in a quiet cove. Springs bubble to private ponds. Spectacular sunsets reflect in a 9-mile lake.
Estate-sized sites for your custom Adirondack-style home designed and built by Chapin Construction.
Forever Wild, the Chapin Estate, 100 miles from Manhattan, Bethel, New York. 866-311-8196. ChapinEstate.com.
Trade wars. China responds to President Trump's threat of additional tariffs. Volatile markets.
Yuan sinking to the weakest in a decade.
Traders rattled by a tumultuous week in the markets.
The latest headlines from around the globe. Stay with Bloomberg 1130.
It is 8:45 on Wall Street. Time for Land Rover Drive Time Traffic. We do it every 15 minutes. Visit your tri-state area Land Rover retailer for special lease and finance offers. Land Rover above and beyond. Janelle Crespin, how are the roads shaping up this morning?
Well, right now it's pretty lousy on the Grand Central Parkway. We have double trouble. 2 crashes, one eastbound at the Kew Garden interchange with 1 lane blocked, and then eastbound at the Clearview Expressway, a lane is blocked because of a crack up. Van Wyck is very heavy northbound into Linden Boulevard. Again, a collision there. Now, we've got a problem, or certainly construction-related delays for drivers. That's a problem. We've got the right lane closed on the Thrugs Neck Bridge heading into Queens. That's causing delays. GW Bridge, no delays there. On the inbound side, outbound on the upper deck, the right lane is blocked for road work. In at the Lincoln Tunnel at Stand, and at the Holland Tunnel, about 5 minutes from the Turnpike at about 25 from 1 and 9. Very heavy on 440 northbound into Truck Route 1 and 9. Communipaw Avenue in Jersey City still have a crash blocking the right lane, and still pretty heavy on the New England Thruway northbound into the Connecticut state line. That's because of construction. This report is sponsored by LifeLock with Norton. LifeLock with Norton Security is the identity, theft protection, and device security you need against cyber threats in today's connected world. Join at LifeLock.com. Use promo code RISK for 10% off your first year. Bloomberg 1130 3-day weather forecast. Sunshine today, less humidity, high 85 to 90. Clear tonight, low 70 tomorrow. Mix of sun and clouds, breezy, high 85 tomorrow night, clear, low 65 to 70. And on Sunday, it'll be sunny with highs of 80 to 85. Best ride in and out of the city. Bloomberg 1130. Bloomberg surveillance continues.
Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And I'm John Tucker in the Bloomberg Newsroom with this Bloomberg Business Flash. 8:47 on Wall Street. Resurfacing trade tensions, sending the major averages down ahead of the cash open on Wall Street. Dow futures 114 points lower. That's down 0.4%. S&P futures down 15. That's down 0.5%. And the Nasdaq E-mini futures 54 points lower. That's down 0.7%. Volatility on the rise. The VIX up 7.5%. Get some economic data today on producer prices. Weak producer prices could be a reflection of the slowdown in manufacturing due to the global trade war. We have treasuries right now. The yields, the spread between the 2s and 10s, About 8 basis points, 9 basis points, the 2-year 160 and the 10-year at 170. We check the markets for you every 15 minutes during the trading day right here on Bloomberg Radio. I'm John Tucker. That's your Bloomberg Business Flash. Bloomberg Business Time is now 8:48.
The following commentary is from Bloomberg Opinion.
I'm Ramesh Ponnuru, a columnist for Bloomberg Opinion. After the massacre in El Paso, Congressman Joaquin Castro, a Democrat from San Antonio, decided to publicize the names of donors to President Trump from his district. He tweeted that the donors were fueling a campaign of hate against Hispanics. He identified their places of employment or labeled them retirees. A common defense of Castro was that the information was public. But collecting and publicizing the information was obviously designed to expose donors to social and economic pressure from people who agree with Castro about Trump. Millions of well-meaning people support Trump. While they shouldn't be insulated from criticism, they shouldn't be shunned or harassed either. The best thing about Castro's behavior is that he's pretending that he's not adopting these tactics. At this moment in our politics, hypocrisy is the tribute that partisanship pays to what remains of civility. I'm Ramesh Ponnuru. For more Bloomberg Opinion, please go to Bloomberg.com/opinion or OPIN Go on the Bloomberg terminal.
This has been Bloomberg Opinion.
And Bloomberg commentaries can be heard every day at this time.
Bloomberg Opinion. Informed perspectives and expert data-driven commentary on breaking news.
Good morning, everyone. Paul Sweeney and Tom Keene. It's a Friday. We're shaping up for a interesting day. Futures negative 20. They've improved a little bit. Watching sterling crater off a difficult economic report out of the United Kingdom. We're doing a little more politics today, and we can do that with a gentleman who has earned being all over your cable TV medium. Tim O'Brien is one of the few people that actually does within the business. He leans over the desk and writes any number of books, a fascinating book on Abraham Lincoln of years ago, and of course his absolutely definitive financial book on President Trump from pre-President Trump, I guess is how I would put it, is the one that is most oft-quoted. He joins us now with his stewardship with David Shipley of Bloomberg Opinion. Everyone, Tim O'Brien, I'm sure on every interview you do on other networks and here as well, is saying, when does one of these parties blink? What's the O'Brien blink meter look like going into the weekend?
And are we talking about blinking on gun control? Or are we talking about
I would
blinking on race, trade?
Actually, we could go to both of them.
All of these?
But on trade and on the economics of Bloomberg surveillance, everybody's sitting there hour by hour waiting for an announcement to say, well, this is over. It ain't happening.
I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. And I think the reason it's not isn't because of good macroeconomic sensibility or an eye on trade data or the impact of what we've seen in the economy and the markets, despite the fact that the Fed has lowered rates. I think the reason it's not going to be happening is this has become a personal matter for President Trump and his senior advisors.
What does your book say about personal matters?
Well, I mean, he has been this way. He's a 73-year-old man, and he's been this way for 70 years. He personalizes conflict. He's not a strategic thinker, and he's not intellectually or financially sophisticated. And you need all of those things in a leader right now if you've got a complex trade agreement afoot.
So you mentioned gun control. It's interesting you did. We had Secretary Housing Urban Development Ben Carson on this morning. We were talking about gun control, and he was suggesting it was more of a issue that the Americans public has lost its moral compass, its moral center, and that was kind of the issue, and even invoked social media as a cause. And that seems to be a little at odds with maybe even what we're hearing from the president and what we're hearing from Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell about maybe there might be some gun legislation coming. Where do you think that might go?
Well, when anyone says that the American public has lost its moral center on gun control, let's just go to the data. Gun control is overwhelmingly supported by the vast majority of Americans. The reason we don't have gun control is not because the American public doesn't understand it's important to do so. We don't have gun control because the U.S. Senate routinely blocks efforts to pass gun control and has for a long time. What's the reason for that? Money. The NRA is a very powerful force in blocking gun control legislation, and gun manufacturers have an interest in lots of guns being out in the market. So until that's stopped, until you stem the distribution of guns and this intersection of money and politics, It's not a moral issue. It's a practical one.
If it's a practical issue, is it also the mathematics of the Electoral College, which leans towards a rural agricultural Republican Senate, including Farmer Grassley of Iowa?
Right. Well, not even the Electoral College, but the Constitution. You know, the reality is that the Senate was designed so every state would have an equal voice in the legislature. And that's a good thing. The problem is it also means that smaller states or states that have traction on a certain issue they care about can block legislation that the rest of the country wants. And what's happened with guns is a great example of that.
Help us get back to what I believe was some semblance of normal for many of our listeners, which was the blocking or banning of these automatic weapons of another time and place, the Clinton legislation. I mean, what is the Bloomberg opinion view of the likelihood of bringing that legislation back?
Well, I think our position is the time is ripe for bringing that legislation back. In the mid-1990s, when the assault weapon bans went through, Democrats paid a price for that in the subsequent vote and in the Congress. It was devastating for them.
In the Senate or the House?
No, in both. I mean,
wow.
it was. They really got hammered by that. And but times have changed. I think that the Democrats have a very safe majority in the House. There's no political risk for them there. They don't control the Senate right now. It's unlikely that they will anytime soon. And that's where gun legislation is bottled up. Democrats have a perfect moment to take a stance on moral leadership and public safety on this issue.
Do you think the Democrats will make this a big issue in the election?
I think the Democrats should make it a big issue in the election. I think the Democrats' first two big issues that they've got to focus on are jobs and health care and the economy. And I think in addition to that, guns and race relations are important issues, as is climate change, in my humble opinion.
Tim O'Brien, you are the expert on the president's finances, and there's been legal action where you're precluded from saying all sorts of stuff that were wrapped around things from long ago. How should our listeners of any politics respond to the idea that prosecutors, judges, whatever, have all this new paperwork from banks? I mean, that's the headline in whatever the angle is, left or right. But what's it mean that they have the new paperwork from many banks?
That's a great and important question, Thomas. I think there's so many details around this that people may have gotten lost in the weeds of it. But the overarching question is, prior to President Trump becoming president, did he have financial relationships overseas that compromised his ability to govern and execute the duties of his office in a nonpartisan and ethical fashion? And he has had long-standing relationships with questionable business people globally. A lot of his partners in some of his projects were tainted. He was partners in a project in Manhattan with people who had organized crime ties. And so there's been this question as to whether or not his operation was a money laundering operation for people overseas, or if through simple financial relationships that created quid pro quos that compromised his own objectivity when he became president. And to me, that's a nonpartisan, non-ideological issue. That's just about a good government, ethical government, and conflict-free government.
Can those papers be used in his tenure, or do they await when he leaves the presidency?
It's very hard to prosecute a sitting president, but I also think these investigations are going to take a lot of time. I don't think this is something that's going to go away the second he leaves the White House, and in fact, it might become more nettlesome for him then.
What will you listen for in the Sunday talk shows besides the advertisements?
Wow, that's a great question. I think this weekend, gun control is front and center, and the racial divide in the United States.
Tim O'Brien, thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it. I must mention a shout out to Margaret Brennan and all CBS Face the Nation. We hope she'll join us here in the coming days as well. Mr. O'Brien, at Bloomberg Opinion, I can't say enough. If I have to pick one name, I'm going to pick two names. Can I do two names?
Sure,
Paul?
go.
Thank you. David Fickling over in Asia. Absolute must read with a guy named Tim Kalpin. Kalpin's like in Taipei or I don't know how. I was there once for a plane flyover for like 20 minutes. Fickling and Kalpin in Asia are absolutely brilliant on the dynamic there of economics and business. And then with the greatest gig going, the Brexit queen, no, not Elizabeth II, Therese Raphael is absolutely outstanding in London.
No vacation.
No vacation. Even Teresa's not even taking like a 6-week Pharaoh.
Therese is the hardest working woman in Europe.
Yep.
Well, it's okay. Pharaoh's off on a 6-week vacation, so he's using her days. Tim O'Brien, thank you so much. With Bloomberg Opinion, futures -15. Stay with us. This is Bloomberg. O'Brien demanded we play the Kinks.
It is 8:58 on Wall Street. Time for Land Rover Drive Time Traffic. We do it every 15 minutes. Visit your tri-state area Land Rover retailer for special lease and finance offers. Land Rover, above and beyond. Janelle Crispin, how are those roads shaping up?
Well, pretty heavy on the Turnpike Eastern Spur southbound into Seaview Drive. That's because of a crash. The right lane is blocked. That's exit 15X and 440. Very heavy northbound into Truck Route 1 and 9, Communipaw Avenue in Jersey City. Still have an accident there being cleared. Now, with the GW Bridge inbound, not bad. Outbound on the upper deck, the right lane is blocked for road work across the span. That's causing some big delays on the Cross Bronx all the way back to the Bruckner interchange. Lincoln Tunnel inbound 20 minutes, and at the Holland Tunnel, it's about 10 minutes from the Turnpike and about 20 minutes from 1 and 9. We've got some construction at the Throgs Neck Bridge blocking the right lane. Queens bound and in Queens on the Grand Central eastbound at the Kew Gardens interchange. Collision and a crash on the Van Wyck northbound at Linden Boulevard causing delays. The Bloomberg 1130 tape weather forecast. Sunshine today, turning less humid. High 85 to 90. Clear tonight, low 65 to 70. Tomorrow, a mix of sun and clouds. It'll be breezy. High 80 to 85 tomorrow night. Clear, low 65 to 70. On Sunday, it'll be sunny with highs of 80 to 85. And on Monday, partly to mostly sunny. High 85 to 90. Currently 71. With the best ride in and out of the city. This is Bloomberg 1130. Bloomberg surveillance continues.
From the financial capital of the world, 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, on the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is WBDR New York, Bloomberg 1130. This is Bloomberg Surveillance Economics.
The good news is the economy is strong. The bad news is the economy is strong.
Financial crises take a really long time to recover from.
Finance.
The strong job market's pulling people back in.
You can't have for very long, monetary union without a fiscal union.
Investment.
What we preach is extreme diversification.
It's hard to have sustained productivity without capital investment.
Bloomberg Surveillance with Tom Keene and Paul Sweeney on Bloomberg Radio.
Good morning, everyone. Paul Sweeney and Tom Keene. Pharaoh gone. He's using my vacation days. He's got the British accent. They're like treated differently here at Bloomberg. They go, yeah, I need 3 weeks off. And they're like, oh, sure, of course.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's an ollie jolla day with you, John, and he's gone.
It's all in the accent.
Pharaoh's gone. Yeah, it's the accent. I don't know. Matterhorn, seriously, he's like climbing. It's like
he's not just laying on a beach with a Mai Tai.
It's like the Disney movie.
Yeah.
Remember that when we were kids? He's not on he's not on a beach. Anyways, we're here on a Friday. We're thrilled you're with us. Major shout out to all of you heading to New Jersey to the Northern Trust Golf Tournament. Mr. Woods in last place. Sorry to hear that, but that will be interesting. Futures at -15, -20 earlier. Dow futures at -104. It's got a Friday feel. I'm not going to kid you, but stay with us for some important conversations through the day. I've learned a lot from Bloomberg Intelligence and Paul Sweeney, not about the gig economy, but the gig profits or lack thereof. I don't get it. And to provide wisdom right now, we're going to go on Uber and Lyft and David Wilson. I just don't get it.
Well, let's start by pointing out that Uber's down 8.5%. We can start there because they had their results out late yesterday, a day after Lyft. Uber's stock had risen in response to Lyft results, and it's giving it all back. And then some. The ride-hailing company's second quarter adjusted sales rose just 12%, the slowest growth in its history. And Uber posted a loss of $5.2 billion, mainly because of stock-based pay tied to its initial public offering in May. So that's how things stack up at Uber. We have a couple of deals to talk about, too. Symantec involved in one of them. Shares are up about 2.5%. The security software maker accepted a $10.7 billion takeover offer from Broadcom for its enterprise unit, serving business customers. The deal was reached less than a month after Broadcom's talks to buy all of Symantec collapsed. And then there's the most active stock in early trading, Wesco Aircraft Holdings. They're a distributor of airplane parts. Stock's up about 6%. Wesco agreed to a $1.1 billion offer from Platinum Equity, which already owns a distributor, UK-based Patanair. It's going to combine the two companies after the deal's done. Moving on, Tesla down 1.5%. Newly disclosed records suggest U.S. regulators may formally investigate the electric car maker's driver assistance system, Autopilot. That's according to a former agency official, Frank Boris, who reviewed the documents.
What else?
All right, earnings. Some disappointments. The video game maker Activision Blizzard down 0.75%. Their earnings and revenue forecast for the third quarter, trailing analyst projections. Trade Desk down 2.5%. The online advertising company was cut the equivalent whole from by Raymond James, even after beating second quarter estimates and raising annual forecasts. Ubiquity Networks, their maker of wireless networking equipment.
Ubiquity.
Yes. UBI-QUI-TI.
Very good. Okay, different.
Down 7.5%. Preliminary revenue for their fiscal fourth quarter missed estimates. And then you have kind of the disaster du jour, DXC Technology. They're a consulting firm, down 23.5%. Net income missed the average estimate for the fourth time in 5 quarters, and DXC cut profit and sales forecast for the fiscal year ending in March.
20 seconds, David Wilson. I didn't cover it enough this week. Kraft. Are you surprised at the train wreck known as Kraft?
Well, I mean, given the magnitude of the declines, you have to be surprised.
And the size of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I should point out that stock is down 2% today.
Oh, okay.
Guggenheim Securities cut its rating to sell from neutral. I got to mention Mattel before I go.
Please.
Down 7.5%. The toy maker scrapped a $250 million bond sale because of what it's calling an anonymous whistleblower letter.
Yeah.
We don't know details. Jeffries, though, pointing out that if they withdrew the bond sale, it's got to be a material disclosure in that letter.
Very good. David Wilson, thank you so much. Face the Nation, always interesting, but Margaret Brennan has absolutely outdone herself this week. Of course, there is no other topic across all of our national media than what we've seen in Dayton and in El Paso. She will have a most emotional interview with a Republican from Louisiana, Mr. Scalise. And also, Margaret, gracing you Sunday morning will be a gentleman who helps with Everytown for Gun Safety. That will be a timely interview.
Exactly. Michael Bloomberg, man you know well, will be joining us on Sunday. I'm flying out to Iowa to talk to him at a presidential forum that he is putting together out there with his group Everytown and other organizations he's helped funded to increase safety and decrease gun violence. This is something that, looking at CBS polling, 6 out of every 10 Democrats say is one of their very top issues when it comes to who they're considering, what they're thinking about when they go to the ballot box, particularly in 2020. So we know it's at the top of the Democratic agenda. So Senator Michael Bennet, the candidate who is a current senator from Colorado, and candidate Bernie Sanders, senator from Vermont, will also be joining us on Sunday. They're participating in that forum. And as you mentioned, Steve Scalise, the Republican from Louisiana, who victim of gun violence himself, is going to be giving us the other side in terms of the pushback on potential legislation should Congress come back to Washington in the fall wanting to get something done.
Paul? So, Margaret, what is the sense in Washington? Is the mood changing, particularly in the Senate, to perhaps get some meaningful legislation done? That's always been the real stalling point in the Senate.
Right. There's a lot of attention being paid to some comments that Majority Leader Mitch McConnell made in a radio interview where he said, in the fall, this will be discussed, even suggesting he'd make floor time, saying hopefully there will actually be a vote on something. And that's farther than he's gone in the past. Remember, he is the man who decides whether something actually gets to come up for a vote or not. So those are words of encouragement on the back of President Trump saying he would like to see this done.
Margaret, unfortunately, we've covered this before. We're covering it now. I'm going to be tragic and say there will be a time forward. What's different this time from the other points of agony this nation's faced in recent years?
Well, it's hard to swallow the idea that the public has become numb, and that's almost in some ways what the test is. There's a lot of criticism of Mitch McConnell for not calling back the Senate for immediate action. Well, the test may be what they hear when people go back to their districts in the next few weeks and hear from voters when they go and talk to the local constituents if there is pressure on fellow Republicans to legislate this time. What is different? You have a presidential election in 2020 where both Democrats and Republicans need to win suburban voters in particular.
Yeah.
Those who polled are saying this is an issue for them. People care when it's in their own communities. People care when it's their kids. And that's why you're seeing Republicans say they want to see more background checks.
An extraordinary face of the nation this Sunday. See it on the CBS networks this Sunday morning. Hear it on Bloomberg Radio. Margaret Brennan on Bloomberg Radio. Sunday, 2 p.m. in New York, Washington, at Bloomberg 106.1, Boston Newbury Report, Face the Nation, Sunday at 2 p.m. There with the Republican, Mr. Scalise, Michael Bennet, the Senator Sanders scheduled as well, and also Michael Bloomberg. We should say that Mr. Bloomberg is the principal of Bloomberg LP and of this television and radio networks as well. Paul, to bring back to the markets as well, I think I just got about 20 minutes ago to the Friday lull.
Yes.
We need, I'm looking at the screen, folks. We look at the screen and we've got a fancy screen called the Bloomberg Launchpad, which I've got set up cross-asset, and we can tell by the pulse of the screen. There's a red and green cadence to it.
Yeah, we're looking again, just looking at the futures here. Quiet opening. It's going to be looks like it's going to open a little bit in the red here with the S&P down 12. The yields coming in a little bit. Tom, the 10-year is up 5/32. So our yield now is down to 1.6983. Broke through that.
Yeah, a little weight. There's a little weight.
A little bit of a weight there, yeah. And I think, we've seen some movement on China, not necessarily in the right direction today, but again, it's just one of those back and forth issues, China trade, but it's certainly front and center for investors.
Swiss franc is in as well. I really want to spend a moment here on something we've underplayed this week. It's something the pros follow nonstop, and that is dollar yen. Yen has been stronger, 105.71. I want to say thank you to Jeremy Stretch at CIBC for some really good safe haven perspective on yen. He mentioned euro is safe haven, which is some would say odd. And also, of course, Swiss franc in stronger today, fractionally. But yen at a 105.71 on a sleepy Friday is actually quite important. And to see it break down and through recent strength to a 104 level, even below that, and then you get to certain points where FX strategists and economists will be talking about what the Bank of Japan will do and what the nation of Japan will do. That strong yen diminishing their ability to export, and not just, the cliche of Toyotas or Hondas to the United States, but far more the yen export to their adjacent Asian nations.
Let's get national headlines right now with Michael Barr. Michael.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you, Tom. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says the Senate could consider legislation to expand federal gun background checks when Congress returns from its recess in the fall. The Republican leader says President Donald Trump wants an outcome, and so does he. A flight attendant is out of a job and facing charges of endangering passengers on a United Express flight from Chicago. Documents show when the officers came to remove her from the plane, the sole flight attendant had bloodshot eyes, slurred speech, and an odor of alcohol. Hundreds of pro-democracy activists have begun what is intended to be a 3-day occupation of Hong Kong's international airport. It comes just days after a citywide strike shut down flights and trains, causing travel chaos. Global news 24 hours a day on air and at TikTok, on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg. Paul, Tom?
Michael Barr, thanks so much. Futures at negative 13, rumored to be in the building. Experts on the Northern Trust Golf Tournament across the Hudson River. We'll do that in a bit. This is Bloomberg. All week, economics, finance, and investment, a tumultuous week. We are preparing its surveillance for Monday morning to bring you guidance into August. Stay with us. Worldwide, this is Bloomberg Surveillance.
politics, policy, power, and law.
I'm Amy Morris.
I'm June Grosso.
China exports rebound just in time to face more tariffs.
Why judicial emergencies are surging in blue states.
Today at noon on Bloomberg 1130.
Bloomberg, the world is listening.
Portfolio Analyst, powered by Interactive Brokers, helps sophisticated investors understand the health of their complete financial portfolio. Portfolio Analyst is free and easy to use personal finance software that creates a consolidated view of banking, brokerage, and credit card accounts. Compare your consolidated portfolio against more than 200 benchmarks or create customized benchmarks for analyzing performance. Calculate time and money-weighted rates of return and use Portfolio Analyst for forecasting. Learn more and download Portfolio Analyst free at ivkr.com/PA.
Attention investors. Stocks got you sideways. Worried about volatility? Then diversify into Class A income-producing property units for up to 21% cash flow. National Realty's Class A property fund includes only prime income-producing new construction properties. These are built far below market value in Brooklyn, Hoboken, West New York, and Delray Beach, Florida. You're secured on high-demand mid-rises. You're diversified with income from multiple properties. You're prioritized in cash flow with substantial bank-appraised equity and solid real estate backing you. National has a 12-year track record of success with over $800 million of property managed. Now's the time to diversify with up to 21% apartment-backed financial units for your IRA or monthly cash flow. Once you see these Class A locations, you'll wonder what took you so long to call 201-210-2727. Call 201-210-2727. An offer to buy or sell any security is only made by our private placement memorandum. Read it first and invest wisely. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. National is a real estate development firm. See us at nria.net. Are you interested in a challenging and exciting career in the New York metro area? One where you can be part of solving complex challenges across industries and geographies. Bloomberg's ever-expanding technology, data, news, and media services foster innovation, empower clients, and offer nearly limitless opportunities for career growth. Visit Bloomberg.com/careers to view our current job opportunities in New York and Princeton, New Jersey. Bloomberg LP is an equal opportunity employer. The address once again is Bloomberg.com/careers.
At CDW, we get that migrating your business to a hyper-converged infrastructure is challenging.
Like me switching to decaf. Gotta do it, don't want to do it, but gotta do it.
Whoa, slow down, friend. CDW's experts can help you simplify the transition from legacy to hyper-converged infrastructure with Dell EMC solutions that offer speed and agility.
Do it, do it. Have you done it? Is it done yet? Why isn't it done yet?
IT orchestration by CDW. People who get it. Find out more at cdw.com/Dell EMC.
More than just a game, baseball is big business. For the Chief Revenue Officer of the New York Mets, this means overseeing complex operations, key financial drivers, and interpreting data to make critical decisions every day.
How is your business managing complexity? Cohn Resnick can help you improve performance through an integrated business planning strategy that optimizes your data, streamlines processes, and keeps you ahead of the competition. Explore more at cohnresnick.com/MLB. Cohn Resnick, Advisory Assurance Tax. Transform your game.
Bloomberg Business Week.
I'm Carol Masser. In this weekend's show, how to hide from Silicon Valley, or at least try to. Plus, 10 years of Android. Now what? Tonight at 6 on Bloomberg 1130. Bloomberg, the world is listening.
It is 9:15 on Wall Street. Time for Land Rover Drive Time Traffic. We do it every 15 minutes. Visit your tri-state area Land Rover retailer for special lease and finance offers. Land Rover, above and beyond. Janelle Crispin, how are those roads looking?
Well, Paul, right now we have some big delays at the GW Bridge. Not bad on the inbound side, but coming out, it is all backed up on the Cross Bronx Expressway and also up on the Deegan heading onto the Cross Bronx Expressway northbound side. That's all because of that construction. Outbound on the upper deck at the GW Bridge, it's in place until about 2:30. We've got the right lane blocked. Lincoln Tunnel inbound 10 minutes, and at the Holland Tunnel, about a 10-minute delay from the Turnpike approach, and about 15 to 20 if you use 1 and 9. Mario Cuomo Tappan Zee Bridge, that's pretty quiet. Big delays on the New England Thruway northbound to the Connecticut state line. That's because of construction. The roadway reduced to 2 lanes. 287, very heavy 2 there, and then eastbound at exit 5 in White Plains on 287, there's a crash, and the Springbrook Parkway northbound into Ardsley Road in Greenberg. We've got a broken down bus blocking the right lane. This report is sponsored by LifeLock with Norton. LifeLock with Norton Security is the identity theft protection and device security you need against cyber attacks and threats in today's connected world. Join at lifelock.com. Use promo code RISK for 10% off your first year. Bloomberg 11:30 day weather forecast. Sunshine, less humidity today. High 85. Clear tonight, low 65 to 70 tomorrow. Sun and clouds, breezy, high 80 to 85. Tomorrow night, clear, low 70. And on Sunday, it'll be sunny with highs of 80 to 85. With the best ride in and out of the city, this is Bloomberg 1130. Bloomberg surveillance continues.
Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And I'm John Tucker in the Bloomberg Newsroom. This Bloomberg Business Flash. Contracts on the S&P 500 slumping just ahead of the cash open on Wall Street. This comes after Bloomberg reported the Trump administration